This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
Well, come on in and join us as we say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you and yours. So glad you could be with us for a very special Farm Monitor.
That is right. It's our Reporter Favorites edition, the stories we here at the show enjoy most in 2023. Case in point, John Holcomb's favorite. Some would argue South Georgia is now a major player in the U.S. citrus industry. And while that may be up for debate, this producer has no complaints. Also on the show, Unlocking Hope, the race to reverse stroke damage where pigs lead the way and a potential cure might be closer than we ever imagined. That story, the favorite from Damon Jones.
Plus, maybe one of my favorite stories ever here on the program, my one-on-one with reality TV star and full-time Georgia farmer, Hunter Grayson. We talked about everything, his quest for love, passion for farming, and the musical talents that keep him singing his own tune. These stories and so much more starting right now.
Well, it doesn't matter the time of the year, in season or not, one citrus operation in Atkinson County is always looking towards the future. John Holcomb brings you the story of Gillis Grove and how their quick success encouraged them to expand their operation.
Just a few years ago, this grove that you see here was nothing but a dream in its earliest stages of reality. However, today, as you can certainly tell, it's a beautiful, fully grown and fully operational Satsuma grove full of fresh, juicy fruit ready to be harvested, an endeavor the Gillis family set out to do in 2018 when they saw an opportunity and seized it.
My wife and I discussed growing citrus. We saw a couple farms coming up in Georgia, and we thought very interesting and new. So we decided we'd put in these 15 acres and diversify. And felt like there was a need for fresh citrus on the East Coast. Such a sad story what's going on in Florida, and there's honestly a little bit of an opportunity here in Georgia. And with our climate, I know it's not something people think about in the state of Georgia as far as growing citrus, but you know, citrus varieties has come a long way with being able to withstand the cooler weather. So we felt like it was an opportunity, and we jumped right on it.
As you can certainly tell by the trees loaded down with fresh fruit, they seem to be doing well, which according to Gillis can be attributed to their South Georgia climate, which is great for the trees and allows them to produce a great crop.
In the fall, as we have a gradual cooling of temperatures, it helps our trees go into dormancy faster. In other regions, they never go dormant. They're vibrant all year. That's not necessarily the case with us. We may not have quite as vigorous of a citrus tree, but that tree going into dormancy helps us as far as our tree being able to take the cold weather. Another thing the cold weather does is it increases our sugars and helps our fruit tree ripen. You know, so when we're picking Satsumas, everything is ready to go to the store when it comes off the tree. So it's as good as it's going to get. We're not leaving it there hanging. It's as good as it's going to get when we pick it.
After seeing such great success in the past few years, Gillis says they're working on expanding their grove by adding acres and new varieties of citrus to the farm.
Future is very bright. I mean, we are in a fantastic region to grow citrus. You know, we're not limited on water supply. We've got good rich soils. We produce a fabulous piece of fruit. So I'm definitely investing more into the farm. I see it a great way to diversify and really provide a quality product, you know, to our public. I'm very excited about it, you know. So in the spring, we're planting grapefruit, tangos, quiches, and a mandarin called a Shiranui.
Reporting in Atkinson for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
John, thanks so much. Well, despite being the #1 cause of long-term disability in the U.S., stroke patients have limited options when it comes to treatment. However, thanks to some breakthroughs from the University of Georgia, hope for those affected might be right around the corner. It's Damon Jones's favorite story of 2023.
With more than $4 trillion spent each and every year on healthcare in the U.S., finding new and innovative ways of treating debilitating diseases has become a priority within the medical community. And that's certainly the case here at the University of Georgia, where their Regenerative Bioscience Center is hard at work on one of the main culprits.
Currently, we're working on a major stroke project where we're looking at neural stem cells to see how they can turn into neurons and astrocytes and integrate into damaged brain tissue, hoping to reverse stroke injury.
This would be a huge breakthrough in the medical community, where this condition has touched nearly everyone's lives in some way.
There's 15 million people worldwide that have a stroke every year. Hundreds of thousands of people are really significantly affected in the U.S. So we have the ability to take things from the bench, we believe, to the bedside with the technology we're developing here and have developed here at the University of Georgia.
In order to get the most accurate information, this study uses pigs as their models, which will hopefully increase the likelihood of success, considering they share many characteristics with humans.
Yeah, so there's been over 700 human clinical trials that have led to a limited number of FDA-approved treatments, and these have all been based on rodent models. And so the field generally believes that we need to improve our testing regimen, and so pigs actually are one of the best models because they have similar anatomy and physiology to humans.
While many treatments now focus on just minimizing long-term damage, this project is unique in that it hopes to actually cure it.
The therapies that are being worked on, many of them just limit the damage that occurs from stroke. What the stem cell therapy does, it has the potential to actually reverse stroke damage. So it replaces those lost brain tissues like neurons and astrocytes. And so it's not just limiting damage, it's actually reversing it.
And so far, the results have been very promising.
These nanoparticles actually creating a microenvironment that's actually more conducive for stem cell engraftment. And so we're seeing higher levels of engraftment, which has led to what we believe is improved recovery in our animal models. And so we're really encouraged by the direction and hoping that it'll take off.
As for when we might see this kind of stem cell treatment used in hospitals, it might not be as far off as you think.
This is really paving the way for our clinical trials. And right now, in collaboration with a company called Aruna Bio, we are collaborating with them to file what we call an investigative new drug application with the FDA. And we'll file that in the next couple months. Hopefully, we'll start treating patients that have had strokes by the end of the year.
Reporting from Athens, Clark County, I'm Damon Jones for the Farm Monitor.
Stay with us. Reporter Favorites of 2023 continues with Ray's one-on-one conversation with Georgia's own Hunter Grayson, the cattle farmer who ventured on a reality TV quest for love.
All right, reporter favorites of 2023 continue here on the Farm Monitor. As the story goes, Hunter Grayson wanted a wife. So he went on reality TV and became an open book and social media sensation. Fast forward to present day. No more cameras, no more jet setting around the country, and sorry to say, no wife for Hunter. However, as I found out in September, his true love, or rather loves, will always be his farm, his horse, and those fickle cows.
We've gone through so much real life in such a short amount of time. For me, it made this experience so much more genuine.
So the million-dollar question. All these beautiful women in Oconee County, Georgia, university not too far away, and you decide to go on a reality show. Why Why reality TV to try to find the love of your life?
I reckon nothing else has worked so far, so I thought maybe that might have been the golden ticket. And you know, as I'm getting older, I told everybody that I was so busy trying to build my business and continue building my farm that I forgot to look for somebody to build it with. And you know, the thing with the University of Georgia is, as we get older, that dating pool gets younger and younger, and sooner or later you just gotta pull the trigger in a different direction.
While the TV show might not have led him to lasting romance, Hunter's first true love remains steadfast: his farm and all the animals that occupy it. In 2001, Hunter and his dad established Black Hat Ranch. Over the years, his commitment and dedication to the ranch grew, and in 2009, he assumed the reins, becoming the driving force behind the operation. His roots in the cattle industry run deep, tracing back to before the Civil War. With a heritage rich in farming and livestock, it's no surprise that he carries forward this legacy with pride and passion, something Hunter hopes was portrayed throughout the show.
As an agriculturalist, what I wanted to do was put our best foot forward for animal agriculture, especially in the state of Georgia. It's one of our biggest industries, and we're always shown in not always the best light, you know, and I wanted to make sure that whatever we did here, we did the best we could to show that we were doing everything we can to, you know, put a good product in front of the American consumer and shed light on what we do day-to-day wise, you know.
Do you feel like you succeeded at that?
Oh yeah, it's you know, there's always scenes and stuff that you see and you're watching back and you're like, oh gosh, I wish we'd have done that a little bit different, but I didn't do anything on the show that I can't hang my hat on, and that's something I'm very, very proud of and very grateful for the, you know, people in post and everything that they did.
Pretty cool guy, isn't he? You know what else is cool about Hunter? With his quest for love in this gorgeous ranch, it's actually provided tons of inspiration for his songwriting. You heard me, songwriting. You see, in addition to being a full-time farmer, Hunter is also an accomplished recording artist.
Summertime, the Florida line was on our mind. You looked over when the song came on that night.
150 shows a year, you know, playing all over the Southeast and award shows and things. It's been quite a wild ride, and I don't do well with idle time. I get bored easily, so I like to fill all my time and do something fun in the process.
But no desire whatsoever to forego farm life, forego reality TV shows, and make music a full-time job?
No, I love the music. Music's a passion for me. It's, you know, I don't want to shut any door in any face, but I can say without a shadow of a doubt that, you know, I don't foresee music being my lifelong career path. It's my break from reality. You know, it's a
Pun
good,
intended.
Yes, it's a good break from the cows.
Speaking of beyond the cattle on his own property, Hunter's influence extends to over 250 cows spread across 3 counties. And while the quest for love on global TV might not have panned out as expected, Hunter's heart remains true to the rhythms of ranch life, those majestic cattle, and the endless possibilities that lie ahead.
You know, growing up, I thought you had to have the 10-year plan and everything lined out, and shoot, if I went along with that plan that God loves to laugh at, I'd have been married 2 years ago and already had my second kid. So, you know, I try not to have too many long-term ironed out plans, but I'm always gonna have cattle, and I love to rope. I love to, you know, go to jackpots and rodeos and hang out with all my buddies, and that's where my roots are, is in the agricultural industry, and so I'll never be too far removed from that at any point in time in my life.
Well, hey everybody, Ranger Nick coming up after the break. If you think you have somebody illegally hunting on your property, I'm going to introduce you to a professional that can help you figure out how they're getting out there after the break.
Well, the date was December 7th, 2013. That's when the lovable, over-the-top ball of energy professor from UGA made his debut on the Farm Monitor, talking about the importance of owls both in and around your barn.
Yeah, and so began the legend of our very own Ranger Nick, who celebrated his 100th episode in March by getting arrested. Just kidding. But Nick did spend time with law enforcement officers from the Georgia DNR, and for that reason, it's his favorite story of 2023.
Well, can you believe it? The 100th Ranger Nick episode. I tell you what, this month we got a little scenario for you. I'm joined by a law enforcement professional, Corporal David Fisher. So good to be with you, Corporal.
Good to be here.
I appreciate your time and appreciate all your service, what you're doing in Georgia. I've called Corporal Fisher out here today for this scenario of, Corporal, I believe, for the purposes of our segment, that someone is trespassing on my land, potentially, and hunting illegally. I believe they're coming in off this road, and I brought you out here to help me do a little detective work. We're walking along. What can you do to help me? I'm not a detective. I'm not a law enforcement professional. What are you looking for to help me determine, is somebody out here illegally? I have not given permission to.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you said that. Complaints are obviously our top priority, and a lot of what we do is based on what the landowners give us. So what I'm going to do is talk to you and say, what makes you believe that somebody's on your property? You know, oftentimes we'll go to that area. He'll tell me, that landowner will tell me about the property, you know, what's there, you know, what's in season at the time. That's going to tell me a lot about what's, you know, what could be going on. And I'm going to start looking at tracks and things like that. And any signs that might give me a hint or some sort of, you know, direction on where to start my investigation.
You're looking for boot tracks. I mean, we've got one on the ground right here. And for the purposes of today, as we look out through this group of grass right here, I've walked through there a little bit earlier to show everybody. But you're going to look at a bunch of grass and see if it's kind of matted down a little bit? Is that what you're...
Well, and you say that, but people inadvertently leave sign. They don't realize they do, but they do. And we see this, and a lot of folks don't realize they're doing it, but we pick up on this as game wardens, and that's where we start.
And the folks at home can see that. So as you're walking back through, how do you know this is potentially a person and not a deer? Just a goofy question.
Well, it could be a deer, but it may not be a deer. So we will continue to follow the trail until we find more signs that is pointing that it could be a person and not a deer. And at the end of the trail, if it's going to be a hunting or fishing or you know, some sort of complaint that's related to us, we're going to find something that's going to indicate why they're there and what they're doing.
And it could be bait, it could be trash there, it could be something that would say, all right, and then what? You coming back, I'm guessing?
We will, most definitely.
Okay.
I mean, we work, our hours are very unique, and we could come in the middle of the night, we could come first thing in the morning, in the afternoon, midday, it really depends. But our schedule is all over the place, and we could very well enter the property and check on the complaint anytime, day or night.
Corporal, what I want to do now is I want to give a scenario to the folks at home. If someone was to run into a game warden, what is that game warden going to do to assess the situation? And let's go there next.
So what you're seeing here is a classic example of what we may encounter this time of year leading into turkey season. I've investigated the complaint, I followed the trail, I've come to an area where obviously, you know, somebody has been. I've located a baited area. You know, it's leading into turkey season. This makes me believe that somebody is in here hunting. They've put out a bait site and they're going to be in here illegally hunting turkeys over bait.
And Corporal, just to make sure, I can feed the critters, I can feed the turkeys and the deer. I just can't hunt over this.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's just say, purposes of TV here, I'm the guy that's been out here doing this illegally. You have caught me. Walk me through some of the things that are going on ahead of time and now that you found me out here.
Well, it all started with the landowner, the initial contact with the landowner. I'm going to make sure that, per our policy, our landowner affidavit is signed and the landowner has you know, gone through that process. So once I contact that information, more than likely I already know that individual is not supposed to be here. But I'll start looking at body language. I'll start, you know, not necessarily putting a lot of thought into nervousness, because a lot of folks get nervous when they're around law enforcement. But if they are and they have their hands in their pockets, I'll say, hey, would you mind pulling your hands out of your pockets so I can see them? You know, and we'll kind of go from there. I'll ask to, you know, do a compliance check on his hunting license. Oftentimes we may encounter other violations once we start actually contacting that hunter, in addition to hunting without permission and hunting over bait.
And so what's so cool about what we're learning about here is the detective work, but I think essentially your ability to form a relationship with me. You're not out here saying, Nick, get up against this tree, you're doing something illegal. We're having a conversation, and I think that's so important for the folks at home to see, and particularly where we go next with the idea of if you're interested in doing this as a job, what kinds of things are you doing? So much people work, I'm thinking, in your line of work.
Yes, sir, most definitely.
That's the cool part. Well, let's go take a look, and let's talk about if you're interested in getting into this kind of a career, let's talk about how you can do it next. Well, we cracked the case with Corporal Fisher, and now I want to introduce you to Game Warden McDade. Game Warden McDade, it's so good to meet you today.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for being with us. You know, what's so special about this is to learn about some of the things that Game Warden McDade is doing, and that includes recruitment. So if you're sitting at home thinking to yourself, man, maybe my son or daughter, grandson, granddaughter, myself, I'm interested in learning more about this type of job. It sounds so cool. Game Warden McDade, what's some pieces of advice you'd have for us if we're thinking about that?
So 21 years of age, have to be a U.S. citizen, have to have an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree, or 4 years active duty military service with an honorable discharge. That'll satisfy that education piece. So those are the two things, and I just want to reiterate associate's degree, 2-year degree, because there's a common misconception you have to have a bachelor's. Now, criminal justice is preferred, but it can be in anything. You know, you could have a psychology degree, a business degree. So you can go to any technical college. It's got to be accredited university, right? So any technical college, junior college, and get that degree. So, but that's important. Yeah.
And I think that's so good for folks to know if you're concerned about that bachelor's degree, the associate's what you're looking for. And so for you, what got you into this?
So I actually got into it because of my brother. My brother had worked in local law enforcement for years, and he had tried to get on, so he was going to try again to get on as a game warden, and he was telling me about it, and I said, Kyle, that sounds really fun. That sounds really interesting. Would you care if I applied too? And he said, no, come on, let's do it. So we both went through the application process, the hiring process, and I kept making it through each step. And I said, I think I might mess up and get this job. I think it's going to happen for me. Yeah. So him and I were the first brother-sister duo that went through the Game Warden Academy. So, but when he was telling me about the job, being outdoors, talking to people, you know, and how it changes up throughout the seasons, right? You go into each season, it's something a little different. So just as soon as you get bored with one thing, you're on to the next. Like we've been in duck season. Now we're going into, you know, a little break, but now we're going into turkey season and then boating and fishing and all that. So it's a lot of fun, and it's being outside, which I enjoy. I don't want to be chained to a desk, you know, so.
And working with people, maybe people like me, a little bit crazier, you know, but listen, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for your service. We're so thankful for this. And I tell you what, folks, I'm real thankful for something. This is the 100th Ranger Nick. And I got to say thanks so much to you for watching this. Over the last 10 years, I've been able to do something I love, basically more than anything, that is aside from teaching. Well, y'all know what to do. While you're online checking out more things to learn about what game wardens do, hop on over to my Facebook page and say hey there. And until next time, like I always say, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ranger Nick, reminding you that enthusiasm is contagious. So pass it on. Y'all, thanks so much for watching. We'll look forward to seeing you back here next month for number 101. See ya.
You either love him or you really love him. He is as genuine as they come. 107 total episodes to date. Hey, hope you enjoyed our reporter favorites of 2023. Here's to another year at the show, heading into our 58th to be exact, 1966, and even more incredible stories.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you next time here on the Farm Monitor for another special edition, our most popular stories of 2023 by you, the viewers. See you then.